Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the wrestling podcast. Feels like a really long time ago since we were discussing wrestling. Not sure if that's the case, but it just feels that way. Anyway, it's the first premium live event of the year, and it's a doozy. One of my favourites, not going to lie. Everybody's here, and we're all talking wrestling, talking news, and the matches to come. Before we start, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Drop in a review you want to drop, and share the podcast around. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, Getting Over.
Recording in progress.
Hello. Welcome along. This is weird. This is a podcast that starts with my voice for a change. It's been a while. It's been a very long while, thanks to the premium live event schedule implemented by WWE. But welcome along, listeners, new and old, to Getting Over on the CookieCast network. You've picked a very special episode to tune into, as not only do we have a whole host of things to get into to kickstart the road to WrestleMania, but it's also our anniversary. We are entering our 5th year of the Getting Over podcast, and thank you very much for tuning in. Whether it's on YouTube, if it's not, go and have a look, do the subscribes and all that business, or audio only, you are very much appreciated. But as the regulars will know, it's not just me here to take you through all things wrestling and WWE. I am joined by collectively the three faces of CookieCast, star of the football podcast, and beer enthusiast extraordinaire, Mr. Matthew Moore.
Hello.
The creator of this fan platform. I should probably stop referring to him as the Vince McMahon of CookieCast now, just for legal reasons.
Yeah, that'd be real nice.
Mr. Andy Cook.
Hi.
And the guy that's probably been on more podcasts on the CookieCast network than anybody else. Disclaimer, didn't count that. Mr. Paul Williams. How are we all?
I've been on more podcasts than the Big Show's had face or heel turn.
Absolutely. We've got quite a hefty news section, but also quite a shortened news section in the regard of it's generally one item that's probably going to take up all of our time today. But it has been a while since the last outing. Lots has happened. But this, like I said, the story is so big that it almost had its own podcast. And it's a story that's so expensive to one man that it's a good job he's a billionaire and doesn't need to use company money to cover personal indiscretions. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the return of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. First things first, we'll try and get you up to speed. So, if you've been living under a rock, you may have missed Vince retiring in July last year. We covered it on the pod. Everyone was shocked, but then kind of not surprised that it was almost forced after he'd been a little bit of a naughty boy. And that's putting it lightly. And as I kind of maybe alluded to, have been using WWE money as hush money to keep quiet some of his former female companions. Before Vince left, the TV product was in a bit of a state, kind of stale, a little bit outdated, and really going nowhere. Anything good put out in NXT was soon squashed upon the arrival to the main roster, to the cries of anyone who likes wrestling, and in fact, anyone who has eyes and sense. So, not Vince then. So off he goes. Triple H takes over creative. Steph takes over the chairperson job. TV product instantly improved, rehires are made, and things start to take a decent upswing. Now, I'm not naive enough to say that things were perfect, but it had definitely a marked improvement. And would you think it's probably fair to say that fans had something to look forward to with optimism once again? Yeah, I mean, this is just my kind of take on it. But I as somebody who was quite disheartened with it, shall we say, up to a certain point, I was optimistic. I'd started to even watch Monday Night Raw again on the regular. So that kind of shows, rather than just catching the highlights, whatever. That kind of shows that it was piquing people's interest. Well, as the immortal theme goes, no chance as Vince returned, but not to TV. Apparently, the internal investigation into Vince's misdemeanors concluded in November 2022, but nothing was really publicised of the result. In December, Vince faced fresh legal demands from his accusers, with former referee Rita Chatterton reportedly asking for $11.75 million after accusing McMahon of raping her in a limo. Instead of disappearing into the background once again, McMahon was actually plotting his return. And on the 5th of January, he announced that he was electing himself to the WWE board alongside former co-presidents Michelle Wilson and George Barrios, whilst removing 3 directors in the process. This was permitted because Vince is the majority shareholder. 2 other board members resigned, likely as a result of the nature of his return, and it also later emerged that the board had rebuffed an attempt for his return in December due to risks to the company and its shareholders by highlighting issues related to Vince. So the people that left kind of had that right, yeah. Anyway, McMahon issued a statement stating that he was only back to facilitate the sale of WWE. And this is something that we've alluded to for some time on the podcast, with a number of rumoured suitors. Who do we think is probably right, or the most likely person or group to take it over at this point?
Surely this is where Andy has to give his conspiracy theory principle.
But is it a conspiracy theory if it's proved right?
You're not paranoid if they're really talking about you. Is it that? Is this Inception type thing?
Well, who do you think is the main benefactor / backer of AEW?
Vince McMahon.
So, flip it on its head.
So AEW will take over WWE. Sounds amazing.
The Khans may buy it. It would be ridiculous if that did happen. But yeah, that's what some people have said.
Makes a lot of sense.
Go on, Paul.
Well, I was going to say, surely, there's only really a couple of sort of entities that could buy it at this point. Because what's the asking price? $6 billion.
Touted for around that mark, yeah.
So that's not exactly loose change. So you'd imagine it's going to have to be someone with pretty deep pockets. So a Disney, whatever I don't even know what the holding group that owns Peacock. Is it Paramount? Is it CBS? I don't know. It's whoever the sort of.
I'd seen the other day that is it Comcast, but I don't know who Comcast are. Seem to be the kind of widely acknowledged people that are they're like the leaders at the moment. But I don't know who Comcast are. I don't know which channels they own or stuff like that. But yeah, they seem to be the kind of ones. Obviously, there's the and I'd heard this. I said to Stu the other day, I was listening to a podcast with Nick Khan, the CEO, on, and he 100%. It's 100% untrue that the Saudis have even tried to buy WWE, which sounds like 100% bullshit. But but it seems like I think they'll be loitering in the background. Comcast at NBC Universal, so that seems
I would not believe a word that comes out of that man's mouth. I would not have been surprised had the company already been sold by the time we came to record to the Saudis. I don't think the Khans have got enough to buy the company. I think they've got too much other stuff going on, and yes, they'll have money, but I feel like surely it's tied up in, an NFL franchise, a Premier League football team. Also, another wrestling company that's on TV in the States and worldwide. I feel like that they would talk a good game in terms of the amount that they've got, but I don't know if they would actually have it readily available to splash, basically. I think Disney are probably the most likely in terms of American-based companies. But I fully expect it at some point to go to the Saudis on the basis of the agreements that they've had with them in the past. We know that it's obviously got an interest there, so I would not be surprised, just really disappointed. But as Matt mentioned, Nick Khan, Stephanie McMahon's resignation left Vince Stooge, Nick Khan, as the sole CEO of WWE, but Triple H, Stephanie's husband, did remain there as Chief Creative Officer. That kind of holds out a little more hope, TV-wise. But if the sale goes through, is he going to stay? Are either of them going to stay? Like, I can't quite get my head around this point.
I think they're going to have to stay, aren't they? Because whoever's buying it, they're not going to be wrestling people. And I think
that's I think what it's going to boil down to. It's the people who are in charge at the moment, or who are running creative at the moment. Whether or not they will stay will be dictated by who ends up purchasing it, if anything. Because obviously, if it's a TV company that buys it, you would imagine that they'd put their own advisory board together based around people that they feel are experts in the field and obviously have knowledge of the product and knowledge of the space that the product's going into. So you'd imagine that maybe look to, like, obviously not the man himself, but obviously an Eric Bischoff type that's both been an executive and has worked on the TV side of things. So they might look in that sort of area. But if it's anything like Turner Broadcasting was when they owned WCW, they'll just be a board of people who want nothing to do with the wrestling. And it'll just be a case of they'll try and sort of distance themselves from it. It's a case of, you're owned by our sort of like, you're owned by our corporate, but we don't really see ourselves as being connected to you. That sort of thing.
I think it's one of those things. If depending on whoever buys it, you get a guaranteed 5-6 hours of telly each week. Yep. So that means 5 or 6 hours worth of advertising. So it's when you say 6 million, it's 6 billion. Sorry, you should get the money back, kind of reasonably, kind of thing. And depending if you've got like a online platform, like a Netflix or something like that, then that also gets more subscribers to that kind of thing. But I think I think particularly with the WWE, it's a very kind of, it's in its like kind of little own kind of microcosm kind of thing of like, they do their version of wrestling, and it's kind of like quite a lot different to indie wrestling. So you couldn't go and get an indie wrestling promoter or that kind of thing to come and run it, because they'd do something probably more AEW style of things. And a wrestling company WWE size doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist, because New Japan's big, but it's not WWE big. AEW are only just coming up. You can see what happens if you run a TNA or something like that. So you're probably going to need to keep Triple H and the creative side of it. The corporate side of it, that probably gets swallowed up by the corporate part of the company that buy it. So Slimy Nick and his pals will be out on their ear kind of thing. But I think the wrestling side of it it'll probably just carry straight on, I would have thought.
The the reason why I have questions about it is because, like, Steph just up and left. And, like, I understand that obviously it's difficult for her because her dad's the one that's got the issues and all the rest of it that's bringing the issues with him.
Sorry to jump in, Stu, but on that, if you think about it, yes, she has, but before the stuff all kicked off with Vince, she did try to go anyway. So she had originally stepped down from a position in the first place.
And,
so
and as you said, though,
really...
before the stuff kicked off with Vince, you're not telling me that she didn't have a clue that was coming. Like, it was all very vicious timing, and I think we even talked about that at the time. But like the reason why, not just because Steph's gone though, is because that both Stephanie and Triple H have been very publicly against the sale of the company. I feel like he'll be in a bit of an untenable position in the respect of he's kind of got to side with his missus, and like in this regard, probably rightly so. Yeah. Anyway, we could go on. So the last little bit was also as well. The fun didn't quite end with Vince's return, as Bloomberg in the States reported that a WWE shareholder, not me, before you ask, they're from Delaware, is suing Vince, claiming that he's broken the law in the move to take complete control of WWE by adding the cronies to his board. I'm not. That is a direct quote from the person. I'm not sure that is the actual law that was broken, but clearly they feel that something is going ahead as somebody has taken this case on. What do they hope to gain, really, with that lawsuit? Because where is that going, other than pissing off the guy that's clearly got all the chips in his corner right now and can do really whatever he wants? It's completely the world's most expensive case of cutting your nose off to spite your face. But if you wanted to stop it tomorrow, it'd happen.
Pack everything up here.
It's a very strange one, all told. But I think going forward from this point, my only hope that is it gets sold sooner rather than later to people who, like we've just discussed, are going to leave the necessary and correct people in charge of all things TV related and behind the scenes. Because let's not, forget that that's actually where the issues have begun to start with. And realistically, is it going to be, before WrestleMania this year? Before WrestleMania next year? Like, how long does he intend on dragging this out? Because I can see it going and going and going, and then actually we get back to that status quo of Vince McMahon will die in position, as we always thought he probably would at some point. And is it just a ploy to actually, I'm there to sell it, well, it's not sold, so I might as well crack on now.
I think what we're all looking for is, when is he getting back on TV? Because that's what this whole situation is really missing.
Well, as long as he's there for whenever Stone Cold turns back up, so he can take another amazing stunner like he did at WrestleMania last year, because that was top notch.
Hey, that's not just the first time either, because it's been the Raw 30 celebrations, and obviously they're going to wheel out the video packages and all the rest of it. Of the hundreds and hundreds of stunners that Vince McMahon has taken over the years, they chose to use the one where he doesn't react at all and basically just rolls onto his side after it happened, and Austin even rolled over him because he'd kind of fallen the wrong way. I was like, great, well done. You've done well there. Unless that was the
did on making it stupid.
But yeah, so that kind of brings me to the end of the Vince McMahon diatribe. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys out there think? Like, leave us some comments. Send us some messages. Who do you think is going to take over? Who would you like to take over, as opposed to who you might think that it will go to? The only other piece of news that I do have that I wanted to tag on was a little bit happier in the regard of the UK are getting another pay-per-view this year. So they've announced that Money in the Bank is coming to the O2 in London on the 1st of July. Tickets are not yet on sale unless you're absolutely minted and want to go for hospitality. Then crack on. It's a lot of money, but yeah, tickets will be on sale in the coming months. I'm sure we'll talk about it. Unfortunately for me, it's probably going to be too close to a holiday this year, so I'm probably not going to get to go. But we know damn well that when the tickets come out, I'm clearly going to have a look. So we shall see. But it's nice that, like, last year, obviously, me and Matt went to Clash at the Castle. It was a brand new pay-per-view for the sort of time and place. Whereas this year, they've kind of felt like they're now one-up in that by having an actual, like, recognisable one that's got a bit of a history to it. So Clash obviously went sufficiently well, as we thought it had. Strange decision. I understand why they've done it, but again, taking it to the O2, they sold 70,000 tickets in Wales, and they've now gone to a 25,000 seater arena tops. Probably couldn't do Money in the Bank in the Principality. You get that. It's a very long cable from the roof. But yeah, they could have gone a little bigger for my money on the arena.
Do you reckon they sort of once bitten, twice shy about trying to do Money in the Bank in a stadium after having to change tack on last year's Money in the Bank being in Allegiant Stadium?
Possibly so. That is a great shout, actually. I hadn't even considered that. I mean, they would need to consider the fact that they've got 10 premium live events to try and sell out in the States, maybe, or 9 a year. Whereas here, if we get one, the tickets are going to sell. They're going to sell. If they'd have put that in an arena that would have housed it, they'd have sold 50,000 tickets without even blinking, easily. So we're getting another one. So something to stick in the diary, and obviously we'll be covering that when the time comes. But quite an exciting one. Will we see a cash-in, the first cash-in on international soil? I believe that could possibly be if it happens on the night as well. So, and I already dread to think how much the side plates and mini belts are going to cost from that event. Anyway, normally we would start the podcast with the predictions title. This time around, I figured that the Vince stuff was probably heavy enough that we needed to go straight in and get caught up. So, before we get into the predictions for the Royal Rumble, I can reveal, and I haven't pre-warned you guys, and I will apologise for this now, that we may indeed need an off-the-cuff tie-break situation. And not to spoil it too much, but Andy, if you could try and grab a question, that'd be great. So, last time out, we had a maximum of 6 points from Survivor Series. It feels like so long ago. And I'm pleased to say that we did really, really terribly. Sort of a maximum of 6 points in 4th place, trying to take the predictions title from me, I might add, was Andy with 2 points out of possible 6. The only one the only match prediction that you got was Ronda, as we all did, in fact, retaining the women's title on SmackDown. But we also got the bonus points for Becky Lynch being the missing member of the Team Bianca in the women's Wargame match. However, Paul was the only person to predict that match would be Team Bianca as the winners. But that is where his points ended, on 3 also. So Andy on 2, Paul on 3, Matt on 3. So he got Theory winning the US title correct, as did I. So that puts me on 3 as well. So we have a 3-way tie, which doesn't happen very often. So again, 3 out of 6. Not exactly covering ourselves in glory, but still have a chance to retain my predictions title at this point. Apologies for dropping this on you, Andy. Have you managed to scrabble together a question for us?
Yes, but I'm kind of a bit like, is one of you going to know the exact answer? But let's find out.
I can tell one of us probably won't.
I believe that the Royal Rumble this year is being held at the Alamo Dome.
Yep.
Person to get the nearest capacity for the Alamo Dome gets the point. I will be using one of the two numbers I've got here in front of me. Depending how close people are. Because the best thing for a question like this is when those two numbers are on the same article. So yes, if you can write down or record in some way or have the number in your head, and I will go counterclockwise on my screen for answers.
Okay, so who's first up?
It's you.
Okay, so I don't have a pen to hand, but that is my number, 57,645. Oh, 42, sorry.
Okay. Macho.
I've got mine would be. I was not big enough to put on the screen. I've gone 56,382.
Close to me.
Paul. Paul, you've got the highest. You've got the highest number, yes.
58,500. He's gone for.
Okay. Number I have in front of me is 64,000, which makes Paul the winner of the extra point.
Oh, well, at least he didn't get it bang on. However, congratulations, Mr. Williams. That is you taking the predictions title for this episode. Can he defend that title? We shall find out. However, before we get to the predictions for this year's Royal Rumble, we will take a small commercial break and we will be right back to you. So go get yourself a drink whilst you listen to the adverts and do not touch that dial.
Recording in progress.
And we're back. So let's get straight into it. The Royal Rumble 2023 predictions. This year's is the 36th annual Royal Rumble, and as Andy alluded to, comes to us live on Saturday the 28th of January from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. This is actually going to be the fourth Royal Rumble held in San Antonio, following 1997, 2007, 2017, and now 2023. Begs the question, we're not 4 years early? Anyway, at the time of recording, we have 5 matches on the slate. And as always, the information is correct as of WWE.com, but is subject to change. And the matches on the card are as follows. The Raw Women's title will be defended by Bianca Belair versus Alexa Bliss. We have a Mountain Dew Pitch Black match, Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight. Paul's especially excited about that, I can tell. There is the undisputed WWE Universal title match with Roman Reigns defending against Kevin Owens. And then, of course, we have the Women's Rumble and the Men's Rumble match. So I'm going to go through them in that order. So we'll begin with the Raw Women's title match. This time around, it isn't Little Miss Bliss after the title, nor is it the Alexa, which used to frequent the playground, but a very serious and focused Alexa Bliss, who seems to snap to a sadistic competitor at the sight of the now notorious Uncle Howdy. Obviously, Bliss still has a link to her Fiend-friendly days, but this particular story is still yet to play out to its conclusion. But what it has meant so far is danger for Bianca Belair. Bliss has put Belair on the shelf for a couple of weeks, a little while back, after a brutal attack on the ring steps. But once Bianca returned, the two went straight back to it, brawling into the crowd during an episode of Raw, until Uncle Howdy appeared. It remains to be seen if Alexa or Uncle Howdy is the one in control, but will Bianca still be in control of the Raw Women's title come Saturday night? Gentlemen, who would like to take the first prediction of the podcast this year?
I'm going to go with Bianca Belair, I think.
Okay. That will go in the book once the book decides to cooperate with me. But that's any particular reason, Matt?
I don't know. I just think they're going to keep the belt on her for a while. I think Alexa Bliss will get taken into that kind of Bray Wyatt kind of thing. There'll be some element of it. Kind of, obviously, Uncle Howdy helped her the other day, but then maybe there'll be some kind of reverse of that because of how she screwed over Bray. Kind of as the Fiend, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll jump on the back of that because I have also gone for Bianca Belair. I think she will probably have that title at WrestleMania. In all honesty, I mean we're going to start spilling into the realms of potential Rumble winner predictions if we go too much further with these type of matches. But yeah, I've also gone for Bianca Belair for very similar reasons to Matt. Andy,
for what Matt said, I've gone with the complete opposite. So I've gone with Alexa Bliss to win, and the Uncle Howdy's going to actually help. This is because of a later prediction I have. So I'm predicting this way for this one because I've predicted another way for a different match.
Okay. So Alexa is in the book for Andy and Paul.
Yeah, same as you and Matt. I've gone for Bianca to return on this one. I think she'll still have it at WrestleMania, and at this particular point, I'm not entirely sure whether they'd even beat her for the title at Mania.
Okay, I do take Andy's point though, because like I think there is also the option of, and based on what Matt said as well, do they put the title on Alexa now, have Uncle Howdy repeatedly help until WrestleMania to then kind of get payback for what she did to Bray? So there is that option too. So, but I'll stick with Bianca. Andy is quite happily sat there on the island of points if that happens. He will take that very, very nicely. Right, next on the card, just for you, Paul, the full title, the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match between Bray Wyatt and LA Knight. And obviously we've just spoken about Uncle Howdy, so we might as well go straight into this anyway. But what exactly is a Mountain Dew Pitch Black match? Honestly, no idea. But if it's not the first person to spill their mountain drink whilst drinking it in the dark loses, I'm going to be very disappointed. Believe it or not, this will be Bray's first televised match since his return in October last year. We've had solid promo after solid promo, but no action as yet. LA Knight interjected himself into Wyatt's business, but as yet, Knight has yet to come off with the upper hand. He's been tormented backstage, even kidnapped at one point, even manhandled by The Undertaker as a result of meddling in Bray Wyatt's affairs more recently. But yet he's still coming across as the heel in this particular story. Wyatt claims he's had nothing to do with the events that have happened to him backstage. And he's constantly battling himself to keep from being consumed by his dark past, is the quote that he keeps reeling out. But then enter the mysterious Uncle Howdy, still the unknown in the situation. We know that there's the link to Wyatt, but then why did Uncle Howdy deliver Wyatt's own finishing move to Bray Wyatt in the ring after the match was accepted with LA Knight? Seems a little odd. Do we think that Howdy's going to make an appearance during the Pitch Black match? But who's going to have their lights turned out? There you go, that's one for Paul. Come Saturday night. Right. This time around, I'll dive in first. I've got all mine written in already. So, I mean, realistically, is anybody going to win this match other than Bray Wyatt? It's his first match back. LA Knight proving himself to be the superstar that he is during the promos that he's delivered and everything that he's put up with in the last few months. But I can't see anything other than a Bray Wyatt win. It feels very much like The Undertaker losing a casket match. Oh, wait a minute. Anyway, I've still gone for Bray Wyatt. Who wants to go next?
I'll jump in
on that. I've gone Bray Wyatt as well.
Okay.
Yeah, you can stick me down for the exact same.
I'm assuming on the basis of it being his first match back, as we said.
I mean, it would be typical WWE booking to have him come back, have all this build up, and then beat him. But
could this be the match where we find out that Vince has taken back creative control and has only come back to bury Bray Wyatt? He's mad about it.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Andy?
So there's absolutely no situation where Bray Wyatt wrestles and I'm not picking him. Apart from this situation right here. LA Knight for me, please. And I'll tell you why. Because as I said before, there's a reason that I picked the first match the way I did. Because Uncle Howdy is going to be the reason that Bray Wyatt loses this match.
Okay.
It'll be nothing to do with the LA Knight situation. It will be purely Uncle Howdy, just to confuse the entire situation.
Okay. I'm still, what happened? Yes, the arena lights presumably will be off. But how can it be a lights out match? Because there'll still be a spotlight on it at some point. Otherwise, how are we going to know who's won?
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe there's maybe we're just overthinking this, and maybe it's a case of it's Gladiator's style, and they have to climb a big podium to get to a big light switch. And it's whoever turns the lights off first gets the win.
I was thinking more when they used to have the weapon on the pole in the corner of the ring, they could just have a table lamp with a pull cord.
I was thinking maybe knocking the lights out, so you've got to knock them unconscious, kind of like a...
You see that?
No, don't give them ideas, because they'll definitely just adopt that as Sheamus' next gimmick.
I mean, with the current state of concussion injuries and sports protocols in the US, I mean, maybe they should stay away from that anyway. But yeah. So if Andy's predictions come in, if there's anywhere that you can put an acca on LA Knight winning that, combined with the other results, and it happens, you'll be a made man, I would have thought. Okay, so third on the card, the undisputed WWE Universal title match between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, and what a main event level match this has shaped up to be. Whilst it's highly likely and definitely will be a Rumble match that goes on last as per the norm, this match has had a build-up worthy of the top slot in any other premium live event for me. So many moving parts to it, not only the two competitors involved, but also the internal struggles now within the bloodline, and the questioned loyalty of Sami Zayn. The 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw this past week featured the Tribal Court to decide the fate of the honorary use, to see if he was going to stay in the bloodline. This was, after all, hell broke loose at the match contract signing between the champion and his challenger. The bloodline was wiped out during that altercation, but one man was left holding the contract. Not Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. So anyway, the Tribal Court was about to dismiss Sami Zayn with a Samoan spike from the youngest Uso, Solo Sikoa. But right at the death, Jey Uso, of all people, jumped up to save Sami Zayn, delivered the defence case, and Sami's been given a stay of execution for now, but those may be the operative words come Royal Rumble. We have also been told that Roman Reigns is setting him his final test at the Royal Rumble, but what that remains, what that is remains to be seen. Is it going to be that he's going to tell Sami that he's got to win the Rumble? Is it going to be that he's got to do something to help him retain the titles? Probably a little bit more likely, I would have thought. Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns had an excellent last man standing match at the Royal Rumble, held inside the Thunderdome back in 2021. And if that's anything to go by, I am very much looking forward to this. That night, it was Paul Heyman providing the shenanigans so that Reigns could continue as champion. But is Zayn going to be the guy to fill that role? Seems fairly likely. There's been no talk of them splitting the titles, as some people maybe expected. Potentially keeping that for a certain American nightmare, but we'll again we shall get into that. But yeah, is KO going to take the titles off Reigns, or does Reigns inevitably fill his date with Destiny with the Dwayne? Matt, do you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, Roman Reigns. It's not going to.
I feel like this could be the first clean sweep finally of the evening. Oh, Paul. Paul's going for the same, yeah. Roman Reigns for Paul.
Yeah, as good as it would be for Kev, like I'm best mates with him. For Kevin Owens to get the win and be the champ. You don't keep the title on a guy for the better part of 2 years to have him lose it just before the big dance and stuff like that, do you? So.
Very true. Kevin Owens is the guy, though. Remember that Triple H helped to win the Universal title the first time around, and
I don't think that means anything.
So this story effectively has been building up on the very much on the slow burn since Royal Rumble 21 or just before. So there is a bit of longevity to it, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be Kevin Owens' time this weekend. I really wish it would be, because the guy absolutely deserves it. He has very much single-handedly carried both shows in conjunction with the work that he's put in. I think he's, in terms of the babyface, he's been that guy, because there's been nobody else close to stepping up to Roman's level for a good while. But yeah. Unfortunately, we've all gone for Roman Reigns. That just leaves us 2 Rumble matches. So we'll go with the women's match first. There's no build-up for this. There's going to be a crap load of women go in the ring, throw each other over the top rope. You know how this all goes. But the interesting point is that they're still plumbing for 30 women to enter the Rumble. Up to now, I'm only aware of 7 that have been announced. So when I set you the challenge, gentlemen, of naming me the winner, some surprises, the longest tenured person in the match, and the most eliminations, if we do not get 2 points each for the surprises, there is something seriously wrong. Because definitely, I'm going to class anybody that's not been mentioned as a surprise entrant. For clarity, for the points, surely this is the closest to shooting fish in a barrel that we've ever been on predictions for the surprise bit for this. So does anybody? How should we do this? Should we unload a full round of winners and then a full?
Well, I'd say keep the winner till the last prediction that we each give.
Okay. Okay. I'm quite happy to dive in. So we'll start off then with most eliminations. How's that? So 1 point, obviously, for this one. If it is a draw, the point will be given to both competitors. And for my money, most eliminations this year, Rhea Ripley. Andy, do you want to go next?
Most eliminations is one of my surprise entrants.
Okay. Well, I can do double duty in the book. You're fine if you want to give that still.
Okay. Charlotte Flair.
So Andy's then got the current, because Charlotte has taken the SmackDown Women's title, so she would be going in to try and give herself the night off at WrestleMania in that regard. It's not unheard of. They've tried to do it before. Okay, so I've gone for that in there for you, Paul.
So I haven't copped out here. I've had to write it down because I can't remember which her surname is. So I'd like Raquel Rodriguez / Gonzalez, because I can't remember which one they're going with as their surname now.
It's Rodriguez these days.
Right, okay. So can I have, on another podcast I listen to, he just adds another surname to a name every time he says it.
Well,
Martinez.
I did have Raquel in the book. When I sat and wrote the podcast notes out myself, I did have Raquel as my pick, and I don't know, there's just something that's pulled me the other way today. So, yeah. So Raquel is in the book for Paul for most eliminations. Matt?
This is where I was like, oh, maybe I could predict a draw between Rodriguez and Ripley. I got like visions of them going in early, and then just been like going like, it'd be really cool if they actually did this like one year. For like the next 10 entrants, they just go 1 for 1. Like, all right, that was a really good elimination. Right, watch me sling this one out. And you're like, if you
almost
did that,
like
that'd be awesome.
Almost like it's a challenge between the two of them. It's like, oh, well, yeah, you did that this well. Well, I'm going to throw her only using one arm, or I'm going to kick her over the top rope.
Yeah.
You bit. Top that motherfucker.
Like a game of horse,
put like a little scoreboard up on the screen at the bottom, like they have the like. So, are you going to nail your flag to one of those particular masks, or are you?
I'll go with. I think my initial thought was Raquel, Rodriguez, Martinez, Gomez, Gonzalez,
Domingo.
Yeah.
He's worked out the code.
I thought he was trying to spell something out like shield wise then for a second. Okay.
I'm trying to do something as long as and convoluted as like the what was it, undisputed universal WWE title. sounds like they got truth there doing it for them again.
Okay, all right. Then next on the list, longest time spent in the match. I have gone for Liv Morgan. I think she'll be in early, and I think she'll sneak her way around a little bit. So I've gone for Liv. Andy?
Becky Lynch.
Okay. That does make sense.
Not a terrible shout, that.
I don't think she'll win, because obviously previous, but
nope. She's
got a good shout of being in the final 4, I think. Paul?
So it was one of 2 for me. And when I was typing it out, my phone wouldn't accept it. So I just went with the other one. So because it wouldn't allow me to type Io Sky, I've gone for Dakota Kai.
Interesting. Okay.
I feel that one of those 2 will start as either 1 or 2. And I think they'll be there. I think all 3 have got the potential to be in the last 6. Then 2 and Bailey.
Yeah. And Matt to close out on the longest tenured female competitor.
I'm going to go Shayna Baszler.
Okay.
Be nice for her to do something.
I have a feeling that's going to tie in with something else very shortly, but we'll get there. So next on the list, we've got surprises. Well, seeing as we've got Charlotte Flair in for Andy already, Andy, do you want to grace us with your second choice for the surprise category?
Doudrop.
Okay.
Now, if she's in the Rumble but not under that name, does he still get the point?
Yeah, of course. I'm going to give that, of course. Much to the same end as if this had been back in the day when we'd have predicted Mick Foley, Mankind.
No, because there was that year.
Anyway, Paul, do you want to give us your 2?
I'll give you my 2, and then I'll give you the one that I'm sort of like toying with, as like because I've heard it on like other stuff, and I like it as an idea. So I've gone for Lana and Nia Jax.
Not terrible shouts. I toyed with the idea of Nia Jax myself. I haven't gone with that. I played a little safer, but we'll get there.
Yeah, the one I was toying with the idea of And it's because someone mentioned it on another podcast, and it was Akira Tozawa.
As opposed to being the first guy to enter the women's rumble, you mean?
Exactly.
Well,
because they can't get away with having Ellsworth there because of But Tozawa's small enough where he could get away with it. So.
And Harvey Whippleman's probably not in any kind of state to do such a thing these days.
Downtown Bruno.
Matt, what about your team?
I'm going to play it really dead simple and dead easy and get play for points. I'm going to go Becky Lynch and Bayley.
Now,
in other years, I've gone really out there and it's been completely ridiculous. And then you guys have gone, oh yeah, this person and this person who was on telly a month ago, but I've not been on telly for kind of thing. So this year I'm playing for points because I've not done it in the past.
I thought
the kind of surprise ones, Molly Holly or I think when I was thinking about when I was researching before I saw there was only 7 declared, I was thinking Molly Holly because she generally turns up anyway, and then is it Gigi Dolan from NXT, the Toxic Attraction? Yeah. I think one or both of those might be in.
Well, I thought I had gone safe, ladies and gentlemen, but Matt has definitely taken that mantle and pushed it to a point where it's in a case with some glass in front of it, and it's the safest it could possibly be. My 2 picks are Natalya and Alba Fire from NXT, so the former Kaylee Ray. She's been doing some good stuff on NXT.
I'm sure I saw Natalya on a graphic.
No, it wasn't on the list. She wasn't on the list. She's officially out injured at the moment because she had didn't she have her nose broken, I believe.
Fair enough. That's fine.
But yeah, so that is that. The ones that I was really umming and ahhing about were Nia Jax, as I said, and Paul's taken that one. What about Naomi? I feel like Sasha Banks is probably a bit of a done with now for the time being.
Sasha Banks doesn't exist anymore, mate.
Well, she kind of does.
Saves his money.
I mean, if you thought she had weird hair as Sasha Banks, she's taking it to a whole new level now. But yeah, I don't know. It's been a bit quiet on that front, and I feel like that it could be the time. Plus, as well, because the Royal Rumble is Naomi has pulled out the Kofi Kingston antics in the past. It's kind of her thing. I feel like that makes a little bit of sense. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Naomi not gone down as an official pick. And on the same basis, I almost picked Sol Ruka from NXT as well, because she did some crazy stuff in the Women's Battle Royal a few weeks back on NXT, and she looks very, very athletic and has the gymnastic background. So close, but didn't make the official, because I thought Natalya was the safest of safe picks, but Matt picking 2 active wrestlers that just haven't been named yet takes the biscuit there. The winner of the Women's Royal Rumble, I've gone for Ronda Rousey, which I'm not happy about. I'm
Seriously?
Really not. Yep, I'm not happy about it, but I've gone for Ronda Rousey.
Okay, I'll jump in next then.
She's got time left on her contract. Matt alluded to the fact that Shayna Baszler could be the longest tenured. Yes, because the Enforcer will be in there to clear them all out first, and then Ronda swoops in at anywhere from 25 to 30 and wins. Would then be the first woman to win it twice. And she's got all that back history with Charlotte. Charlotte's got the SmackDown Women's title. That to me falls into place. So yeah, Ronda Rousey is my pick. Paul, do you want to jump in then?
Yeah, I toyed with this for a while. I was thinking, I didn't think there was a woman that was sort of head and shoulders above everyone else that would be the sort of the clear favourite to do it. And then I was like, well, she's kind of been a bit central to a lot of the storylines at the minute. So I've gone for Rhea Ripley.
They probably do something pretty cool with that as well, with the kind of what are they, Judgment Day
Yeah, they've been taking over quite nicely. They've been. She has probably been the star of that show so far because Dominic Mysterio is turning himself quite rapidly into the comedy character with his prison yard antics, which is just no mate. Finn Balor and Damian Priest are probably feel more like they're the tag team in the group at the moment, which leaves Rhea's almost the enforcer and mouthpiece on her own. So that would work. But then would you have her going for the Raw title or the SmackDown title? Because I think that Rhea versus Charlotte lends quite nicely from COVID Mania. She kind of owes her one. But then also haven't Rhea and Belair fought as well at times. So
yeah, I mean, like, it's that one where you could argue that she'd go for either, and it would be a very, very good match. So.
Okay, Andy, your winner.
I thought Paul had picked my winner earlier because I know him with him being such a massive fan. So it's Bailey for me.
I can see that happening as well. With the help of Damage Control, no less.
Do I drop the line now, or
There's absolutely
there's absolutely no way Bailey wins this match, is there?
The one time you might be right, Paul, this time, isn't it? But not for Andy's sake, all being well. Okay, and to close us out on the Women's Royal Rumble match, Matt, who is your winner?
I feel like I should try and be different, but I'd gone with Bailey as well. I'm going to stick with that.
I must admit, it's the first year I've thought for a while that's been like pretty wide open.
It would be nice because she's not been, and well, neither is Rhea Ripley, but obviously Bailey's one of the original sort of new wave of women that came through who hasn't won it yet. So,
I was going to make some kind of comment about, WWE wouldn't want to retread old kind of things that they've done before, but then...
Did you not watch Raw 30?
I
know. Okay, so we have one match left to go. We'll try and get through this as we are rapidly running out of time here tonight. And so it's the Men's Rumble match. Competitors announced so far have 15 out of the 30. So I've got Kofi Kingston, Santos Escobar, Ricochet, Austin Theory, Seth freaking Rollins, Bobby Lashley, Baron Corbin, Rey Mysterio, Gunther, Cody Rhodes, Omos, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Karrion Kross. I'll dive in. Most eliminations, Gunther for me.
I'll have Damian Priest, please.
That is a great shout. I hadn't even considered that.
I'll go Karrion Kross.
Andy?
Rey Mysterio.
That was a very left field one. I was not expecting that. We've all gone for possibly the three biggest men in the entire match, and Andy's gone for the smaller. Definitely a different tack there. Right, okay. So the longest tenured male superstar, I have gone for Austin Theory.
Nice pick. Tie in with something you said earlier about setting himself a task. I wouldn't be surprised to see Sami Zayn as one of the first two entrants and him be there at the end.
That is an excellent idea. Oh man, how's that going to go down? I suppose it plays into Reigns' heel mode of, well, I told you to go and win the Royal Rumble from number 1 or number 2, and you've not, so on your bike, kidder. I'm pretty sure that's how they speak in Samoa, right?
Yep.
Cool, got it.
That's what Boost means. That's what Boost means.
Who's your pick for longest tenured, Matt?
I'm going to go Drew McIntyre.
Big Drew Mac.
Surprised no one's picked him for most eliminations, actually.
Him and Sheamus are kind of the tag team at the moment, though, at least. So we didn't discuss their potential tag team name, but don't Google it. Yeah. And Andy.
Cody Rhodes.
Is he going to come in early? Are they going to give him the pop from the beginning? I can't decide. He could get number one or two.
That's a good shout, actually. I quite like that one.
Right, so 2 surprise picks each, gentlemen. I have gone for one slightly safer one if he's recovered in Randy Orton. It's time, surely. And then another NXT pick for me this time in NXT champion Braun Breaker.
Like that. Like that very much.
Paul, do you want to go?
Yeah, I can do. I've gone for the returning Pat McAfee as the college football season is now done and dusted, so he's free to join the team again. And as he was at Raw 30, I've gone for X-Pac.
Yep, cool. Take that. Matt, who are your 2?
I also had Braun Breaker down.
Yep.
I had it in my head there because I hadn't thought of another second one. That's gone. Oh, Bad Bunny.
You son of... That's made a decision for me because I had 2 possibles for my second pick. So you've now made a decision for me there.
Thinking about them points, motherfucker.
Andy, you'll be delighted to know that Bad Bunny is a downloadable character in the new WWE.
Oh, I'm very much aware of it. It's non-stop advertisement.
And Logan Paul will be on the roster too. It's like the game that was made for you. So, who are your 2 surprise picks before you rip my head off?
Brock Lesnar!
Yeah, that's a safe one, I think.
And my second, that was Bad Bunny, is now Edge.
Ooh. Two solid picks there. Not on the list, so both fully valid. And then we move on to the big one for the men's match. The winner.
Do we even need to say it? Are we all basically picking the same person?
Some might think it's that straightforward. Some might not. Some might think it's not Cody Rhodes, and those people might be wrong. So Cody Rhodes is my pick. Cody Rhodes is clearly Paul's pick. You guys are different.
I've got Cody as well.
Andy?
I see what you've gone with there. I like what you're thinking. Just pop Drew McIntyre down for me, please.
Hello.
I'd love it. I would absolutely love it. Especially if it was at the expense of Cody as well. We could get heel McIntyre out of it. That'd be ace. I would be quite happy with that. Okay. All of the predictions are in the book. Royal Rumble, genuinely one of my favourite pay-per-views outside of WrestleMania. Bring it on. Very excited about this. Got a very busy weekend coming up, so we'll have to try and squeeze it in there. Let's see what happens. But yeah, just before we head off, as always, thank you to the subscribers. Thank you to those of you that have listened and watched along to this point. Please drop us a like, share, and subscribe. Please drop us your comments and let us know who you think is going to win the Rumble. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy all of the wrestles, and it's WrestleMania season now officially. So let's get at it. Cheers, everyone.
So there we go. What do you think to that? Good to be back. Good to be on the wrestling train. Good to be finding out what's going on. And I love Royal Rumble. So another good wrestling event to look forward to. Before you go, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Drop reviews. Check out our website, thecookiecast.com. We've got social media links and an email button so that you can tell us who you think is going to win the Rumble. That's it for this one. Join us next time. We'll be talking more wrestling. Until then, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Getting Over. If you are enjoying this episode, why not like, share and subscribe? Whilst you're there, check out other podcasts on CookieCast like Football Podcast, Listed Out the NFL Podcast and Straight to the Apex, the F1 Podcast. Now let's get back to more Getting Over on CookieCast.